This is another hot one. Hear all about it. Read all about it. Hot one. Yeah, baby. We back. I found another one I like for us. I think they can do this. Yeah, they can do it. Anyway, more after this.
UnitedComicsUniverse.
A universe for fans.
From pages to pictures, we are comics.
Hello, Marvel Hotline.
Hi, I'm Jeff Parker. Welcome to Marvel Hotline. This week we're focusing on Age of the Sentry #1. Editor Mark Panicia and assistant editor Jordan White called me one day and said, hey, we got a wacky idea. And I think they literally said wacky. It's like, what do you think about the Age of the Sentry? Like doing all Sentry stories as if this were his comic in the early 60s. And I said, what? You want me to trade in on my good name and help establish this character who was never actually around? Sure. And then we went rolling from there. The first one actually kind of walks you back through what the Sentry's origin is, or at least what the way he always perceived his origin to be in his comic book version of how he existed. We see Watchdog, little corgi that flies around with superpowers, Scout, his sidekick, and Lindy Lee, his girlfriend, and we also finally see what his secret identity life was, because I don't think that was ever brought up much before. All of the ones except for the final issue are split, written between me and writer Paul Tobin. Paul's story has the Tinkerer and the Mad Thinker in it. Oh, there's some good stuff in there. This thing is just packed. You're going to feel like you're getting 2 books in one with this. Since we don't tell in a modern decompressed style, we tell in the 60s hyper-compressed style, you really do feel like you get 2 books because just so much stuff is crammed into each story. I'm Jeff Parker, and this is Marvel, Your Universe.
Thanks for calling.
Hot one, baby. We back. Hot one news. Your boy JoninSho back at you. Your dog sniffing around. Found something I think we'll like. It's coming at us from one of my favorite places, CBR.com. That's CBR.com. CBR.com. Check them out. They're great. This one's regarding Sentry in the MCU. There's a lot of people want to see Sentry in the MCU. He's kind of popular character in the Marvel Comics. But there's a lot of controversy with it. They got the title right because they got controversy in the title. Yeah, they definitely got the title right because a lot of people say, Sentry can't be in the MCU. He's too powerful. I don't know. I mean, as much as they change, they seem willing to change anything in any kind of way. So I don't see why they can't make Sentry fit. And just because he's too powerful in the comics, well, as we see based on Thanos and a few other characters, he don't necessarily have to be that powerful in the MCU. But let's get into this. Marvel's most powerful and controversial Avenger would break the MCU. Nah, I don't think so. One member of the Avengers is entirely too powerful and unstable to be a good fit for the MCU's versions of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's by Timothy Donohue. It might be Donahue. It might be another version of Donahue. I'm gonna just say Donahue. Sentry right there. Let me know if you don't know enough about this character, because I'll do a journey into this character and put a video up, detailing more about the character and the character's history and everything like that. But this article is really nice. It's a fantastic article. You might get what you need here. Let's check it out. Ever since he debuted in the early 2000s, the Sentry has been one of Marvel's most controversial characters, known for his immense power level and his retroactive premise. The hero completely upended the status quo of the Marvel Universe. This saw him become fairly ubiquitous in the publisher's books and teams such as the Avengers. For better or worse, the Sentry's powers and his almost meta nature have made him problematic in Marvel Comics, and the same could be said if he were to be introduced in the MCU. Here's just how powerful Marvel's first superhero truly is, as well as how his potential introduction into the movies could become as disastrous as the comic books. The Sentry, aka Robert Reynolds, debuted in The Sentry #1 by Paul Jenkins and Jay Lee. The character was envisioned by Rich Veitch, who had previously worked on dark superhero deconstructions such as Miracle Man and the Max Immortal. These characters were both in many ways based off of Superman and DC's. Yeah, they got a lot of Superman-like characters in Marvel Comics. But then DC also copied quite a bit of character styles from Marvel as well. That's how they do. That's how they know they do that. That's what they do. That's what they do. Based off a Superman and DC's Captain Marvel. So it makes sense that Veitch's ideas for the Sentry were pretty similar as well. The Sentry was a superhero who had once been sent. Well, you know what? It might be too soon for Sentry right now because we just got Icarus and he's kind of Superman-like, you know? I don't know. What you think? Let us know down below. Think we got too much Superman right now, or the Sentry can bring itself. And even if he does arrive, it's gonna be a few years anyway. So depending on how much Icarus we get, right? Perhaps the Sentry was a superhero who had once been central in the Marvel Universe with his borderline ridiculous superhuman feats, such as being able, yeah, he did do some ridiculous feats, such as being able to calm down the Hulk, taking him directly into Gary Stu territory, despite his huge impact on the world around him. The Sentry's feud with the evil Void saw that the Void is like a dark version of him, so it's actually him, the Void, ridiculously powerful. Saw the entire Marvel Universe forget his existence. Later, as a middle-aged married man, Reynolds remembers his past, not unlike what happened to Miracle Man, and becomes the Sentry. This universal amnesia was a retcon that allowed the writers to inject the Sentry into key moments of Marvel's continuity, something which many longtime fans despised. It didn't bother me, but yeah, I can see why people didn't like it. This was only made worse by the hoax that the character in real life supposedly was the first Silver Age Marvel hero and was based off a rejected concept from before Stan Lee concocted the Fantastic Four. This Silver Age element extends to his powers, which many saw as a bit too out there. The Sentry gained his powers through a serum that was even more powerful than the one used on Captain America. Yeah, definitely more powerful. My goodness, there's such a vast difference between them two. It certainly ain't the same serum. Couldn't even have been based on it because it went quite cosmic. It's like he had a cosmic Captain America serum, with the result being that his molecules are now an instant ahead of time. Wow. The biggest manifestation of this is that his raw strength is almost unbelievable, allowing him to not only toss around cosmic powered heralds of Galactus, but also apparently fight the Devourer of Worlds to a stalemate. Yeah, he did that. Galactus, Sentry. Yeah, not only in the Sentry highly resistant to most people's brute force attacks, even the Hulk's, but even potentially lethal toxins such as those of Spider-Woman have no effect on him. He can regenerate any damage he does sustain, and he can likewise project his consciousness and memories into the minds of others. And he's, as far as I know, he's pretty much an eternal character, because if you manage, I don't even know if you can manage to completely destroy every molecule of his existence, he will just either recreate itself or bring itself back, like reborn again. As Marvel's Superman, he also has flight and vision and sensory powers, as well as a whole host of other powers, including energy manipulation and astral projection, that make him a walking deus ex machina. The character was essentially a plot device leading to even more contrived stories explaining why he was unable to simply stop a particular threat. That's what makes it complicated right there. Somebody with so much power and ability, how can he fail at anything he try to do? You know what I mean? These usually involve his mirror image, the Void, who commits an act of malevolence for every good deed the Sentry does. Damn. Ironically, this idea doesn't balance out just how broken and utterly ridiculous the Sentry is in the Marvel Universe. For as much as the Sentry threw logic out the window with his comic book introduction, he would be an even bigger debacle in the MCU. Yeah, it'd be something, but you know, they can modify the character. The movies have, at strongest, featured threats as tough as the Mad Titan Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. The Sentry, if he were anything like his comic counterpart, would likely easily have ended this threat. Characters like Carol Danvers have already been criticized for being plot devices, and such a status is baked into the Sentry's DNA. Talking about Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I guess that's why I had her come in at the end, right? On the end game, because it's been over pretty quickly with her there. Likewise, his presence might be another media example of an evil Superman, of which there are a few in movies alone. Some might even take it as a sort of a slap in the face to Zack Snyder's take on Superman and the DCEU in general. I don't know. It never occurred to me. But I'll tell you what, whew, Zack Snyder's Justice League, my goodness. Everybody need to learn something from that, which might not be the wisest road to take. The Sentry's origin, however, could be a change of pace and make for a much darker movie in the MCU. Excuse me. Yeah, well, I like that article about Sentry. I want Sentry in the MCU, so that's why I wanted to share that with everyone. And for those who don't know about Sentry and how ridiculously powerful he is, and for my fellow comic heads, comic nerds, comic geeks out there, comic fans that think he can't be in the MCU because he's too powerful, I don't know. Think about it like this. Everything the MCU do is pretty much, retcons, pretty much fanfics. Based on the comics, don't have to exactly be like it. So if you can get out of the mindset of the way Sentry is now, and think about how they reworked some of the other characters they've already released. For example, Thanos, as powered down as he was. I think they can definitely do it. And he has a great story, so it will be interesting to see on the big film. On the big screen, rather. But make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell, and keep it rumbling out there on Rumble. Anything you need to let us know down below. And please support us and share our videos, because we need it. Check out the merch at the stores if you need it. And JoninSho out. This has been another hot one. I'll catch you again when I find something I think that we'll like. And you know what I'm about to say. We are comics, baby. I'll catch you again.
Copyright disclaimer. Citation of articles and authors in this report does not imply ownership. Works and images presented here fall under Fair Use Section 107 and are used for commentary on globally significant newsworthy events. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Community Guidelines Disclaimer. The points of view and purpose of this video is not to bully or harass anyone, but rather share that opinion and thoughts with other like-minded individuals curious about the subject.